Hey everybody, I'm Matt Valley. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the research and insights pros that you trust. Well, I'm super excited today because I have Suann Griffin as my guest here today. Not to be confused with Susan Griffin, who introduced us, funny enough. No, this is Suann, and I had the pleasure of having a dinner with her, breaking bread in Austin, actually at IIEX last year, and we just had a great conversation. She's an awesome person to share a meal with, I'll tell you that much. But I also did see her speak there, and I saw her speak at Quirk's Dallas, as a matter of fact. It was really insightful and also very entertaining. So that's a win-win for sure. So Suann has a really cool background because she's got this great mix of client side experience and supplier side experience. So most recently, she was the senior director of insights at Serta Simmons, the mattress company. She's also been with Sprint and Shell Oil and some other companies on the supplier side. She's been with Bellamy and Mark. So lots of great companies, lots of great roles, cool stuff. But this is a first actually for the Rock and Roll Research Podcast. We've never had an avid, competitive, serious rower on the program. And hey, we do today. And here's what I know about rowing. I know it makes you tired when the motor stops working. So I'm here to learn. I'm looking forward to the chat. So welcome to the podcast, Suann.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I
Yeah.
think the wine definitely made our dinner more enjoyable in Austin.
It always helps. It always helps. It really was a great group. So I have to thank Susan Griffin for that. It was memorable. And I think we were parked there for like 4 hours.
Yeah, she is the hostess with the mostest.
She is indeed. She is indeed. So thanks for that, Susan. All right, Suann, let's start with research. So everybody's got a story of how they got into this space. So tell me about how you got involved and why you stayed.
Well, I fell into it completely by accident, didn't even know what it was.
Same.
Was finishing up my last semester at school and had decided to, graduate early. I was taking 28 credits just to fly out of the last semester. And
Oh,
one of my classes was a Saturday morning statistics class. And my professor at the end was like, "You're really good at this. Have you considered a career in market research?" And I was like, "I have no idea what that is." And he said, "Well, there is a program. I got my PhD from University of Georgia, and they have a master's in market research program that Coca-Cola provides full rides to, full scholarships." And so I was like, "Well, free master's. I mean, that sounds great.
yeah.
Sure, why not? I'll go into this field I know nothing about." Um, and so, yeah, so I went down there and loved it. Loved the problem solving. I think I had early on in life looked at pre-med and then thought about being a lawyer. And just from a very early stage, like I just love helping people live better lives, like happier lives. I like to bring a little joy, a little sprinkling. That's why Susan and I hit it off so well. Um, but seeing how I can help solve the problems of the world, with with products you can buy at Walmart. But anyway, yeah, and
Everybody's
then
got everybody's got to have a
hey,
calling, right?
you've got to have a calling. I think that Georgia provided a really good pedigree early on,
For sure.
super
For
solid
sure.
analytical tools, and it was just easy to stay in it. And then as the field has developed, I think I found more of my niche. I am probably not the traditional stereotypical market researcher in that if I never open SPSS again, I will be a happy camper. Um, I'm I'm not fond of charting and all the rest of it. So love the upfront, all the conversations you can have and all of the needs identification you can do. And I love all the brainstorming and workshops on how we solve things and then testing and
Sure.
iterating. So um, for me, it was a really good fit, and with the right companies, it's a really great fit where I can kind of be creative and go wild and propose things that others might not have thought of.
Sure. That doesn't surprise me actually, seeing your presentation. It was what I liked about it is was a lot more strategic than you would typically see in a market research presentation. So it was obviously somebody who has the experience, but can also think and operate on another level, which I think was really cool. So it all checks out. So that's good stuff.
Well,
So
thanks for the compliments. Also a fan of those.
yeah, yeah, of course, of course. So client side, supplier side, where does your heart kind of lie?
Yeah. So I
Curious.
think it's an interesting question. I think it goes back to problem solving. My supplier side roles have historically been heavily business development, which for me is good because I'm a networker, extroverted, love to have the dinners, love to have the conversations.
Sure.
So from that perspective, or partnering with suppliers who where the role's a little bit less traditional, right? It's not that account services forward position. Maybe it's okay, as an agency, we want to go here. Here are our goals. How could we help get there? And I love like sitting back and thinking, okay, here's all the barriers, here's the problems with our current processes. Here are we have talent filling certain buckets and we have certain needs of the organization. How do we match them up? Not necessarily how it is today, but how could it be? And
Sure.
how could we go ahead and improve those internal processes? I think for me right now, looking for my next role at the moment and staying client side, kind of agnostic to the category. I tend to find myself, you mentioned some of the companies I've been with. I kind of tend to find myself with, you know, I don't want to call them odd brands, but it's mattresses or it's motor oil or it's,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, just looking to see what happens next, where the road leads.
Okay, super cool. All right, so let's talk rowing. So like I
Yeah.
said, I know nothing about it. How did that interest develop? And just tell me, what your involvement has been in that sport.
Yes, I think that's another story of Suann falling into something she didn't know anything about. Um, one of my when I was in high school, I was really just dead set on going to the United States Naval Academy.
Okay.
Was very excited about it. My dad had been a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, and I just thought, I'm gonna go. They're gonna send me to med school. It's going to be great. And so I went to a summer program my junior year where you can go and kind of like try out being a midshipman for a week.
Okay.
And I was there lined up with the platoon, and this man came over and he was like, "Have you ever rowed before?" And I went, "Do you mean horses?" And he was like, "No, boats. What?" And I'm like, I'd never even heard of it or seen it. And so
Right.
he invited me to come back and do a rowing camp at the Naval Academy, which I did. And then I got blue chipped as a rower and was actually admitted as a midshipman or
Cool.
plebe. And just decided that wasn't for me. So, the closer I got to actually going. So I ended up going to the University of Texas and I walked onto the rowing team there. And then I stayed for a little bit of financial support, as we say.
That
um,
helps.
and, it does help. And so, one of the things that we kind of joke about Susan Griffin and I having a confusing presence. I'm almost 6 feet, and she is not anywhere near
No, she's not.
6 feet. So, um, so that's one of the things they look for in rowing. And so I did that in college, and then started coaching some junior rowers, middle schoolers.
Yeah,
Loved them. I never really had a passion for teaching in that sense, particularly not teaching children.
right.
Um, I will say being on the water with middle school boys is a hoot. They are so much fun chattering in the boat. And I just got so much joy out of it. And I started rowing again. And my master's partner, we row doubles, sometimes larger boats. So, everything from a one-person boat to an eight-person boat.
Okay.
Uh, right now, I'm typically in doubles and quads. So that would be 2 or 4 rowers, and just competed in 2 regattas this month, actually, head of the hooch, which
Wow.
is one of the biggest in the country, and then head of the South, which is down in Augusta, Georgia.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. I must say, when I see the pictures, like I saw one of the pictures of you in the boat, and you get these early morning photos where people are on the water
Yep.
and it looks like glass. I mean, it really seems appealing. So there's got to be something to that.
It's a really nice way to start off your day.
Yeah.
So my rowing schedule, I either have, an 8 in the morning that we go and do, or we're 5:15 in the morning meeting up. So
Yeah.
honestly, getting up, my alarm goes off at 4:45. I'm there at 5:15. We try to get on the water by 5:30 in the morning. It is a beautiful way to start the day. Up in
Yeah.
North Carolina, we can row year round. It's
Yeah.
warm enough. It'll be a little chilly, but warm enough. And
Sure.
the wildlife, I mean that like
Yeah.
I love the herons and and just seeing everything. It's very quiet. My work day is filled with not quiet, right?
Yeah.
I'm always in meetings, talking a lot, listening a lot, and on the water, it's just quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to share this with my son because he's 15. He's in 10th grade. He's 6'4". And
Yep.
so he's getting some inquiries about, hey, have you thought about rowing? And he's a little bit curious, right? So maybe. I have one last question. So here's the one thing I know about competitive rowing. And you're talking about smaller boats, so maybe you don't have a coxswain, right? Which is a person
Right.
that's shouting in front. How does somebody become one of those? And what do you look for in a coxswain? Just curious.
Yeah, so actually really good for students, for children to kind of learn. So typically looking for someone who's smaller in stature, smaller in
Right.
weight.
Yeah.
So they're tiny humans with big voices. And
Right.
leadership skills, absolutely.
Right.
They're taking charge. They are not just in the boat, but on land as well. They're directing all the rowers. They are, helping get the boat through crowds,
Yeah.
providing all of the instructions. So they're very smart individuals, very motivated. They're your cheerleader in the boat. They're the ones that have the race plan that they execute on. They're the
Sure.
ones like in the middle of a race that can make a decision or a call to change the plan.
Yeah.
So excellent leadership training.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. All right. So are these two, like the discipline of rowing and the discipline of insights, are these like two totally separate spheres for you and never the twain shall meet? Or is there maybe something that you've learned from rowing that you applied to your professional career or vice versa?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think one of the things that you can take from rowing is that anyone can do it, and teams are can be wildly different in their composition. And I think it's the same for insights teams. I alluded earlier that I don't necessarily fit the stereotypical market research role, but there is an absolute need for people who do. And um, it's that sphere of thinking, where you're bringing different skill sets. So, are you the yin to my yang, or are we eight puzzle pieces in the boat, right? So, I think that would be a big one. I also think sometimes at work, and this isn't necessarily insight specific, although it can be, right? When you're getting pushed for a faster response, you know, lots of change management. I think it can be very stressful at work sometimes. One of the things I take from rowing is like you can do anything for 45 seconds. I
Right.
get on the water and sometimes my brain's like, we're done here. Like I'm done,
Yeah.
I'm quitting. This is really hard. We had a piece yesterday where I was just like, I'm done. And then I was like, girl, you got like 27 more strokes. Like, do not quit and let the rest of your team down. And I think that perseverance at work
Hmm.
um, is and that mindset of like, yeah, this is a little hard right now, but we're gonna get through this. And the reason we're gonna get through it is because we're all here together. You're not on your own, and you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
I think one of the other things, there are different skill sets. I talked about the coxswain, and there's that like leadership, strategic planning. In the middle of the boat, they call it the engine room, right? So the engine
Yeah.
room It's eyes forward, mouths closed. All you're there to do is like provide the press, provide that the pressure. Like you are the core of the boat. Bow, you've got to look around. You're steering, you're making sure you don't hit anything.
Right.
Stroke, you're setting the pace. You are driving, like, everyone in the rest of the boat follows that stroke seat.
Right.
And so, especially in a boat where there is no coxswain, they are, setting the pace, leading the drills. If it's time for us to sprint, they're the ones that have to like get to the sprint. And they have to be super duper consistent
Right.
with what they're doing. So I think there's again that idea of different roles on a team,
Yeah.
um, so that we can all get where we're trying to go, and that different skill sets are okay and in fact really important. So it's different communication styles, different skill sets, different things you enjoy doing. I not jokingly said, if I never open SPSS again, I'll be a happy camper. Like I mean that very seriously, but somebody's got to open it, right? Somebody's got to
Sure.
be digging into the data,
Yep.
and really being able to have that granular tactical approach.
Yeah.
And then I think that there's the person making the race plan with understanding, like, again, where we're trying to go what we're trying to do. And so there's that overall governing leadership for an insights team as well, right? I see the bigger picture. I see the entire river.
Right.
I need you to just focus on this, this task, but I'm looking
Yep.
at the whole river. I'm talking with other coaches. I'm talking, I understand what other teams are doing. So maybe a
Yeah.
bit of a stretch of an analogy, but I do think it works.
No, no, actually, I really love it. And rowing is one of those things where it's like I instinctively know that it's a lot more complicated and involved than it looks. And it's great to hear you talk about the different roles and everybody's got a part to play. Um, and it seems like it's like all working together to achieve some sort of perfection, right? So it's very interesting. I'm quite intrigued, I must say. So cool stuff. All right. Okay. So back to Insights, Suann. Uh, you've been in this industry a while now, and
Mhm.
of course, it's had a lot of change, and especially recently, I think. As you think about the future of Insights and where it's headed, what do you see in your crystal ball?
So I definitely see insights moving into a lot of other departments. I don't know that that's necessarily future as much as it is like recent history and now.
Sure.
But you're just seeing all sorts of focus on additional sales enablement, improving the customer experience, whether that's with leveraging contact center information.
Yep.
It's this convergence
Yeah.
of information. I think that most recently coming from a durables category, that has really fragmented consumer category and channel data.
Hmm.
Um, it takes that human element to find those insights needles that your stakeholders want in a really timely manner.
Right.
Um, I think that the future, and it's nothing that the rest of the industry isn't saying, but I think that the future is going to really rely on humans, really smart humans who see the bigger picture,
Mm.
are willing to use Gen AI tools to get them where they need to get faster, to
Right.
help draw conclusions that it would take a human, more time, more bandwidth, more money to find.
Hmm.
I also think, like, as AI tools, and AI driven solutions help us with forecasting. I mean, we've been forecasting marketing effectiveness for the 25 years I've been doing this.
Sure.
But as we have the tools that can help us be more precise, um, I think that the future really lies with the humans who are willing to consider multiple solutions,
Hmm.
and apply those learnings. Um, I think that the future of insights, I think we're going to go backwards a little bit and spend more time thinking, more time having conversations. I don't think
Here,
that
here.
AI solutions and generative AI means we're going to all be on our own in isolation, working more with those tools. I think that where we need to go is more time with stakeholder conversations, less time with I think the historical approach is, here is our RFP, or here's what we need. Here's my brief, write an RFP, get a proposal, execute the research, 8 weeks later, give me my report. I think that has already profoundly shifted in many organizations, and the rest of the
Right.
industry is transitioning to that. It's more, okay, I've already been working because I'm so engaged with the business. I'm so engaged with the commercial decisions that need to be made and the
Mhm.
business strategy. And I say I, meaning insights, but like we've been there the whole time. So I've not only been inserting the voice of the customer all along in our conversations, I've already asked the questions that were needed to be asked to provoke the business. So whether those were, and I say questions, whether that's a data pull that we needed to do or primary research that we needed to do. I think the shift is becoming like moving that further up on the roadmap. And so we're not this kind of staccato approach where it's brief,
Right.
RFP, proposal, research. I
Assembly
think that
line.
is all
Yeah.
condensing
Yeah.
dramatically. And like the value is to be able to say, honestly, the biggest value would be to be able to say, you know, a senior leader comes and asks you a question, you can just answer it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that I think is happening more and more when I talk to my brand side colleagues. Like they're already getting to that place, but that's very different than where we were 5 years ago,
Sure.
um, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I love the notion of getting back to thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the promises actually of the AI tools, right? So it takes away a lot of the busy work, so you can think about what it means and how you apply it. So cool stuff. All right. Okay, so Suann, this is media, right? We all consume media, podcasts, whatever. Um, what media do you turn to? Big broad question. So
Okay.
for insight, inspiration, or enjoyment, what's earning your time?
All right. So I would say enjoyment is one of the bigger ones, right? So I'm not a big TV movie watcher. I mean, I like to go see a blockbuster on the big screen, but I haven't lately. Tornadoes was on my or Twisters, I'm sorry, was on my to-do list, but haven't
Yeah.
made it there yet. I am currently churning through episodes of Madam Secretary on Netflix.
Yeah.
I love historical fiction as well as, this one is really about the fourth in command for chief in command of our country, and she's a woman, and they care about the planet and sustainability, and like
Yeah.
it's a good one. I like it. From an insights perspective, I absolutely love anything casting related.
Mm,
Um, LinkedIn has kind of given us a new source of media that, the algorithm knows that I love these things, and so it
right.
feeds me up white papers. One of my favorite, actually, I have it on my desk. One of my favorite old-fashioned in the mail reports. I don't think they're probably going to be making it anymore, but EBCO was publishing a magazine called Elevations, and it was
Yeah.
the trends report. And it was just, emerging fringe signals that were, category across categories, and I just
Yeah.
uh, love reading that part of things. I think that when I think about inspiration, for me, insights that inform innovation is like a passion project,
Hmm.
or a passion space. I really, really enjoy that. And so, reading about emerging innovations, new technology, autonomous fleets, like
Yeah.
just all of that is very interesting to me. So I think that's a combo, inspiration and work related.
Sure.
Uh, what else? I think that's it. Those are the big ones. I'm also a
Yeah.
paper book reader. It's not really media, but
Yeah.
I read a lot of paper books.
Yeah.
I
Me too. I'm
haven't quite
still.
caught on to the digital screen yet.
I did. I tried it, and I do not prefer it. So
That's one of
it's,
my, as a parent, that's one of my vacation requirements. We all have to have a paper book. And partially, I think
I
maybe
love
it's so I
that.
can ensure the kids aren't like doing other things on their iPhones.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's
it's
right.
paper book time.
You mentioned EBCO. They were who you co-presented with. Was that at Course?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was just amazing. And it was so interesting to see because again, you mentioned, mattresses isn't, the category that most people are thinking about all the time. But the way that trends intersect with mattresses, I mean, you brought it, you and the EBCO rep that you were speaking with just brought it to life and made it so fascinating. It's like, wow.
It's easy to talk about passion projects. So Betsy Pendergast was my co-presenter, and we both have, I think, a passion for health, wellness.
Yeah.
My personal thing is, I love the idea of solutions for women over 40. I mean, sure, everybody, but you got to find your niche market. And when you think about a space and you look more broadly, so instead of like, what about mattresses? For us, it was what's the future of sleep,
Yep,
which
that's
brings
right.
in for the bedroom, you heal in your bedroom, you're intimate in your bedroom, you sleep in your bedroom. A lot of people are on their laptop in their bedroom.
Yeah,
So more broadly, what does that future look like? Instead of being so category defined that you're not looking, you aren't looking more broadly. You're not looking at, mobility and aging and
sure.
all the rest of it. So yeah.
Yeah, mattresses have use cases like anything else, right?
You.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, all right. So it is a rock and roll research podcast, right, Suann? We haven't talked rock and roll yet. So I think you know what's coming. We've got to talk rock and roll. It doesn't have to be rock and roll. Don't let me color your answers here,
All
but
right.
okay, let's say you are stranded on a desert island. No, you don't have a boat to row off of it. It's just you. You're stuck there for the rest of your days, but you have three records if you're choosing to keep you company. What are
And I can't cobble together a cruise shell to get me off to row
they?
off.
No, you are stuck.
Forever. No palm tree oars. All right. So I did know this question was coming, and I struggled with it a little bit. So I share my Spotify account with my two teenagers. And so frequently the song that is currently playing or most recently played is not something I particularly enjoy myself. A lot of modern stuff. Yeah. Sometimes I think I need to turn back the explicit filter on our account. Um, anyhow, no, so I love listening to the music that other people put on, which if I'm alone on this island would be difficult to do. So I would say a little Zydeco music to like get me
Zydeco.
up and moving. Maybe
Yeah,
Clifton Chenier was amazing.
I like that.
I would say a little country, but like with a fast beat. So some Mitchell Tenpenny or Jordan Davis has got some new stuff out. There's one I like, the track. It's called I Ain't Saying. It's one of those I kind of put on repeat in the background.
Yeah.
I don't multitask well to like create a PowerPoint deck while there's music playing. So I'll just either that or while I'm rowing, I'll just put one song on loop. And then if I had a third one, huh? Something, a whole album with a mix of tempos. Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Band, maybe?
Oh, hey, there you
Get
go.
some upbeat and some mixes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So or I'm gonna add a fourth one, the Cars soundtrack by Disney Pixar.
The Cars soundtrack.
I do
Yes.
like the Cars soundtrack quite a bit.
Yes, that would be a second mention. I'm trying to remember who just said the Cars podcast or the Cars soundtrack. It was recent too, and I'm blanking
Were
on.
they also a grown up?
Yes, yes, they're also grown up. But I will say, interestingly enough, so here's where I've got quantitative data, right? Because I've got almost 130 episodes now. I ask everybody three albums, and so I've got almost 400 data points by now. Easily the number one mentioned band is the Beatles. So
Oh wow.
you have
Okay.
added to the Beatles title there. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Suann, this has been a great chat. I'm so glad we're able to reprise our chat from over dinner. Less wine this time, but but just as much fun, and I'm sure there will be a next time as well. So let's make that happen. Let's talk soon and rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Thank you for having me, Matt.